Israel has been a great topic to discuss about vaccinations because of their high vaccination rates, COVID-19 vaccination rates. It was the authoritarian left's wet dream. That was basically what Israel was. They did the lockdowns, strenuous lockdowns, mask mandates, high vaccinations, making sure everybody gets jabbed. That was their approach with COVID-19. Okay. And we're seeing, because of that, you have a place that reached this high percentage rate of vaccinations and how they're dealing with the virus. And you're seeing hospitalizations, and you're seeing what is deemed as these breakthrough cases, obviously, because a lot of them are vaccinated, starting to account for most of the cases in general. Daily Beast put together this article saying, it's interesting, let's talk about this. Title, Ultra-vaxxed Israel's crisis is a dire warning to America. Jerusalem, and this is coming out of Jerusalem, says the massive surge of COVID-19 infections in Israel, one of the most vaccinated countries on earth, is pointing to a complicated path ahead for America. In June, there were several days with 0 new COVID infections in Israel. The country launched its national vaccination campaign in December last year, vaccination campaign in December last year, and has one of the highest vaccination rates, with 80% of its population above 12 being fully inoculated. COVID, most Israelis thought had been defeated. All restrictions were lifted, and the Israelis went back to crowded partying and mask-free venues. Fast forward 2 months later, Israel reported 9,831 new diagnosed cases, a hairbreadth away from the worst daily figure ever in the country at 10,000 in the peak of the third wave. So to put that into perspective, just so people understand, I know cases, right? But for you guys that care so much about it, right? Because we got to eradicate the virus. In their recorded COVID history, the max that they had was around 10,000. And that was at the end of the third wave, peak of the third wave. They're right under that right now in 9,831. More than 350 people have died of this disease in the first 3 weeks of August. In Sunday press conference, the directors of 7 public hospitals announced that they would no longer admit coronavirus patients, with 670 COVID-19 patients requiring critical care. The wards are overflowing and staffs are at a breaking point. I don't want to frighten you, says coronavirus czar Dr. Salman Zarqa. He told the Israeli parliament, but this is the data. Unfortunately, numbers don't lie. They don't, and they spell disaster for you at sacrifice. But yeah, that's how it works. The data is the data. Whether it goes against whatever narrative that you've been trying to perpetuate doesn't matter, man. It does not matter. It doesn't matter. The data is what the data is. The reality is what the reality is. And this is what's, unfortunately, a lot of people believe that they can offset that reality. Their words can just contradict the reality. And they can speak a world into existence that's not actually there. You know? But the data is the data, and a lot of folks expected this. I'm not going to take credit from a prediction or anything, but a lot of experts earlier on in the pandemic were saying this is like the way that this virus works, the way that these vaccines are, mRNA, like these leaky vaccines. We're going to be dealing with this forever for the most part, right? Until we completely cure it, if that's at all possible. It's what it is. And I think the problem and why you have so many people having anxiety about this is because, well, their beloved leaders have not given them the reality. And it has to smack them in the face for them to understand what happened. The complex and sobering truth is that no single policy or event brought Israel to this crisis. Haggai Levine, a Hebrew University in Jerusalem professor of epidemiology, told the Daily Beast, a deadly set of circumstances came together to put Israel on the precipice, most of which can be summed up as we are still in the midst of a pandemic and there's no silver bullet. All the vectors have influence in the rise of morbidity. Yeah, I mean, multiple things can be true. I say that all the time. But the principal cause of Israel's current predicament are the dominance of the extremely infectious Delta variant, which was carried through the country by Israelis returning from foreign vacations, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, someone says it's not an Israel problem, it's everywhere. Yeah, and it's not just an Israel problem. You see, even with spots that sit basically on islands, you see the Australias of the world, you see New Zealand, and they're dealing with the same problem where, okay, we have high vaccination rates. We've done all of these lockdowns. We've done all of the mask usages and mandates, ensuring that our populace is conditioned to wear these wherever they go. And yet they're still having problems with this. So what that tells us is that, like my man's mentioned, there is no silver bullet. But unfortunately, the world leaders are pretending as if there is. Which is why it's vaccination. It used to be mask. Now it's vaccination. If your leaders gave a fuck about you, including your beloved health experts, they just tell you the fucking truth about this. And the truth is something that a lot of y'all don't want to accept. And it's this. And I ain't no doctor. I'm just going by what all data points towards. I'm just telling you this. Eventually, most of us are going to get this shit. Vaccine efficiency rates continue to go down. Is it because of the variants and because of it's going to change like we've seen kind of flus, which is all the flu? Go Google, actually, if you don't mind. Not for me, because I already know. The efficiency rates for a flu vaccine on any given year. You'd be surprised what those are. They're not as high as you're thinking. So this is something that we may be dealing with much like the flu. And some people said that earlier on. Doctors, experts that were laughed at the room said this early on, but people didn't want to accept it. And they tried to change the trajectory on it. And maybe we've been wasting our fucking time. Not with everything, but with some of what we've been doing. Maybe we've been wasting our fucking time. Or y'all been wasting y'all's fucking time. Because the reality is, a lot of us are going to get it. And the vaccine isn't preventing you from it. May it mitigate some symptoms? Yes, that's what they're saying that it's going to do. But as far as it's being spread, you're seeing in areas with high vaccination rates, it's not stopping that. So what now? I would suggest you look into taking care of yourself. How you feel that, or in your family, how you feel that is, I guess the most effective way to go about that is your business. Some of y'all are going to be lining up to get 6-7 booster shots. Okay, your business. I'm not necessarily in agreement with you on that. I would prefer to start getting better eating habits, getting more conscious of what you're consuming there, getting more conscious with your exercise and workout and body mass and all of that, to try to prepare yourself and your body for dealing with this in the best possible way that you can. And that's regardless of whether or not you have the jab, because that's what we do know, if nothing else. What we're seeing is those folks that don't have those underlying conditions, some of which are controllable, a lot of them which are controllable, and you make it harder on yourselves by completely neglecting that. I don't know. Maybe if they told y'all this, y'all descend into chaos because you were believing these guys the whole time when they just said just a little more, just more longer, just longer, just continue to do this, continue to listen to us, and we'll get on the other side. Doesn't look like that's the case. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.